Today is May 27th, 2019, Memorial Day. So it's been more than 18 months since Google released Pixelbook. Is it still worth it? Let's talk about it. Hello everyone, how are you? This is yours truly, Tech Gear Guy, coming at you once again. My sincere apology before we get started. I've been suffering from cold for the last week and a half, so I sound a little bit congested and nasally. So if that bothers you, again, my apology right before we get started. All right, so for the sake of this video's purpose, let's review the specs first. So Google's Pixelbook, which was released, November 2017, sports the 7th generation Intel CPU i5. I believe the clock speed is 1.2 gigahertz. Comes with the 8 gigabyte of RAM on board, and the particular version that I have sports 128 gigabytes of solid state. Now, of course, you could spend more and get yourself something with a bigger storage, 256 gigabyte local storage space. More on that later. The GPU basically is the integrated Intel HD 615. The 12.3-inch screen sports 2400 by 1600 pixels. The screen is extremely pleasant to work with all day. In terms of ports, you are just dealing with the two USB 3.1 port, one on each side, and a simple audio. That's it. So now that we have gone over the specs, and we can just quickly review what the whole Chromebook situation is. So Chromebooks are designed to have extremely nimble, robust OS, as in Chrome OS. So unlike the typical operating systems such as Windows, Mac OS, and even to a degree Linux, so you're not carrying a lot of overhead. So the operating system itself is extremely light. So it's fast, simple. Those are the inherent advantage of Google Chrome OS. And everything, as you have imagined or probably already know, is running off of a Chrome browser. Now, of course, nowadays you could run Android apps and even Linux apps if you so choose to do so. When you are looking at Chromebooks, you have a variety of hardware options available to you, as in you could get yourself something like $159. Right now, Walmart has a Lenovo S330 on sale for $159, and that's a spectacular deal. And something that goes up to $999, such as this. And this thing actually, if you buy the higher spec version, it costs you more than $999. So with that said, you have a bevy of wide range of hardware that you can choose from depending on your budget. And, you know, as I mentioned earlier, Chrome OS by nature, there's no like a driver installation, much as how you are accustomed to with Windows. The Chrome OS itself receives automatic updates from Google, which is, again, a seamless process. And ones with a touchscreen, and especially this Pixelbook, the touchscreen is extremely responsive and supports gestures and just really pleasant to use. So now that we've talked about the Chrome OS itself, let's talk about this Pixelbook in particular. So, which is the flagship Chromebook, the most premier Chromebook that you could get on the market today. Like I said earlier, it is almost 19 month old, and the CPU itself, while it is completely capable for being in a Chromebook as such, it is now 2 generations old, as Intel now has 9th generation Core i series available. And you may be wondering right now why my Chromebook looks a little bit different, and that's because I have put on D-brand skin on the Chromebook, but basically it's a white exterior with like a glass exterior, which looks super high-end. very, very modern looking. So even though it is a year and a half old, when you are looking at the hardware itself, this is as premium as a laptop gets. Those of us tech people, when we compare laptops, typically computer hardware, Apple somewhat has set the barometer, somewhat has set the standards on craftsmanship and design and engineering. So when you compare this to the latest generation of a MacBook Pros and what have you, it's not only it stands on its own, and I think it also punches well above its weight. It is thin, it is a solidly built, very nice straight line, pleasant curvature. And I personally don't really care for the little arc, on top over here, like a little bevel top. And because when you have that kind of top, and when you get the laptop into a convertible tablet mode, that thing creates a little gap right here in between the top and the bottom, and that doesn't really work well. It somewhat defeats the purpose. So that said, I love having the flat top and the bottom. The touchpad is extremely responsive, very pleasant to use. The highlight of this laptop to me is the just spectacularly excellent keyboard. We've suffered, thanks to Apple, or no thanks to Apple, we have suffered greatly on this butterfly keyboard that's offered by Apple, and companies trying to make their laptops lighter and thinner, and what suffers in the process normally is the keyboard and the battery. Windows flavor of other laptops, MacBook Pros, we are suffering from really terrible keyboards that just don't have enough travel or tactile feedback back to you. And even the ever so excellent keyboard cover of Microsoft Surface Pro, I mean, this thing is just really nice to use, but because of the nature of this, it doesn't have the solid bottom that is conducive for long, all day long typing. Whereas the Pixelbook sports just excellent keyboard that is pleasant to use all day long. So as mentioned earlier, the Chromebook, you're not really using it for like media creation, because it's, even though there are apps available, where it falls short, even in the ecosystem that now is greatly improved and also mature, where you're supporting Android apps as well as the Linux apps, you're still short on things as Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro for like the video content creation, and Logic Pro for something like audio creation. So stuff like that is still not here. However, for media creation, media consumption, I should say, music, whether that's video content, as far as the consumption is concerned, I cannot think of other devices as well suited like the Chromebooks. And even for general productivity work, whether you are a student for schoolwork, whether you're a business professional, typing away, churning numbers in spreadsheet, presentations, so things like Google Sheets and Google Slides, all just outstanding to use Google Pixelbook. Couple of the things that I can kind of pick apart. So as far as the battery life is concerned, even though Google says something different, my own test, when I have the screen brightness turned up to about 80% and about 6 Google tabs open and one of the Google tabs running YouTube video, I'm able to get about 7 hours and about 10-20 minutes max. So if you are thinking a full workday being an 8-hour workday, you're gonna be falling just a tad short. And also, this may be the design flaw from the 2017. And when I say flaw, I use that term loosely. But if you look at the bevel on this screen, it is rather thick. Hardware feeling this nice and this premium in your hands with that ugly bevel that big, that is something that does it's somewhat of an eyesore if you ask me. Of course, when you're talking about the usability, the lack of ports, again, thanks and no thanks to Apple's pioneering way of just killing off ports, Google followed suit and you are just getting USB Type-C 3.1 ports on either side, and that's all you get. So it is indeed a dongle life still. All right, so that said, the touchscreen does support its Google Stylus. However, one does not come with. So that is, I don't know whether that should really be counted against it. And earlier I mentioned how it is an awesome device for media consumption. So whether you're enjoying music, whether you're watching a movie or video, you're going to be hearing something, and that is where this thing falls short just a bit. Because the audio fires topward through the keyboard, if you have it in the proper mode, just a proper laptop mode, audio experience is all right. However, when you have it as a tablet and you're looking at it like this and the keyboard is facing away from you, so all the audio is actually firing away from you. And then finally, another thing that bothers me just a little bit is, besides the solid piece of aluminum and, great piece of glass that's used like on the trackpad and on the top exterior, they did use some rubber. It is light gray in color. So you have rubber pieces running right here on the bottom. So obviously when you have the laptop sitting on top of a table, slippery surface or flat surface, whatever, the laptop doesn't slide around. Furthermore, the rubber reappears right here on the palm rest area, and that is going to create some issues for long-term durability, because inevitably, now me personally, I always like wash my hands before I get to a computer, and I have extremely dry hands, so I don't have like a grease or sweaty palm or anything like that. And never will I eat Cheetos while I'm working on the computer or what have you. So my hands are always clean, and yet I know for sure, inevitably, something will happen to my palm rest. And, earlier I showed you my Surface Pro keyboard cover. Even though I keep my hands extremely clean and dry, over the course of use, the corner of Surface Pro Alcantara fabric right here discolored just a bit. And I'm sure the same things, similar thing will happen to this white rubber palm rest as well. So in summary, when I talk about, this Google Pixelbook, almost a year and a half old, maybe they're due for a renew soon coming up. In summary, despite all its issues and, disadvantages, I find myself reaching for my Chromebook all the time, whether here in my office, whether at home, because one, it's a solid, I don't feel like it's gonna break. And there was a video review of someone a while back that I watched on this, where the user was complaining how the metal base was bending or whatever. I don't know how that is possible. Now, me personally, it was not done on purpose, but I actually ended up dropping the laptop from the desk to the floor, and the laptop did not suffer any damage, nothing cracked, nothing breaking, nothing denting, nothing, shifting its shape in any shape or form. So I find the laptop to be very durable, which I like. And that's another reason why, like I was saying earlier, I could just grab it from anywhere and I can just kind of gently toss it around and I don't have to worry about it. And the simplicity of it all really is a great usability feature, if you ask me. And also, it is 2019 and a lot of us now have things, that's cloud-based. So, even for Exchange mail environment, you could use Outlook Web Access via the browser. So you're not running a full mail client. And if you choose to do so, the ecosystem is mature enough where you could run all those apps directly on the laptop as well. So, being limited to cloud, Chromebook really doesn't hamper my work that much, productivity as well as, pleasure. And that said, it doesn't have to be always online. You could definitely use all the Chromebook and like the Google apps offline and then just to sync up later on when you do get online. So to bring this video all the way to a conclusion, I find myself using my Chromebook day in, day out, a lot actually, in fact, unless I really need to resort to my main MacBook that I use for all the other video content creation and for my other YouTube channel where I do a lot of audio work. So I do use my Mac for a lot of that, but every day-to-day computing, Chromebook is where it's at. And with the 128 gigabytes of local storage, that is just absurd amount of storage for Chromebook. Of course, I say that, you know, a little bit tongue-in-cheek. The whole premise of Chromebook was not to need so much storage on board because you are working off of cloud, just everything web-based. But having 128 gig or the upgraded version with the 256 gig, whatever, that option being available to you is convenient for like downloading videos and, you know, media for long flights and things like that. Now, having said all that, as much as I like it, would I pay $999 sticker price for this laptop? That is a big no. $999 gets you a ton of other available options out there you could consider. And this thing does go on sale often. Like right now, it's Memorial Day weekend. I don't know if a Best Buy is running some kind of a sale. And every now and then, I do find this available for about $700. I think that's an okay price. I did get this one as an open box, Geek Squad certified at Best Buy. I normally don't buy stuff at Best Buy, but they did have one where it was professionally cleaned. And actually, when I got it out of the box, I didn't see any flaw. Even the power cable that goes onto the power brick, that was never uncoiled by who originally first owned it. So there was no issue there, and I paid basically here over $500, and that was a good value there. $1,000 laptop, I got it for about half the price, and that's where the value is at. So if you could score one, that is great day-to-day computer, highly recommended. So to me, 18 months, 19 months since the introduction, doesn't matter, still a great laptop. All right. I've been Tech Your Guy. You've been awesome sticking around this long. Thank you very much. Until next episode, everybody be good humans.